What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Making Motor Moves. On today's episode, we are going to make some much needed performance upgrades to my 1992 Sea Ray 380 Sun Sport. We just got done with our first season boating on the Chesapeake Bay, and I have to be the first one to apologize. I didn't capture any content for you. Well, here's a couple video clips from my iPhone on the water. With that said, I owe you one. I promise we're gonna do a full walkthrough, performance, sea trial, ride along, entire update on this boat. But for starters, let's get into it. My name's Ben, this is Making Motor Moves. As always, if you enjoy what we're doing, like and subscribe to the channel. She's back. The Quarter Life Crisis, 1992 Sea Ray 380 Sun Sport. Let's get into this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Props, 26 pitch Bravo 3s, absolute game changer. Before, at this speed, it was going like 23 miles an hour. And the boat just loves it. I mean, absolutely loves it. Woo! It's quite the day on the bay right now. Is choppy. Come on. For starters, let's talk about some of the performance upgrades we're going to do. Back here, if you remember, when I first got the boat out on the bay, I had catastrophe happen to my starboard side Bravo 3 stern drive, and I had to replace this entire upper gear case. If you see, this is a Bravo 1 upper gear case. Bravo 1 and Bravo 3 are both interchangeable for their upper gear cases. The only difference is their lower gear case, but the main important thing there, and this is what I had to go through when I replaced it, is making sure you have the correct gear ratios. So these are 2-to-1 drives. The gear ratio up top, I think it's a 32 to 27 spline, matches the gear ratio down below to produce 2-to-1 drive. So for every 2 revolutions of the engine, it is 1 revolution of the propellers. First things first back here is I have done a initial prop swap. So initially these drives had 24 pitch props on them, 24 pitch Bravo 3. What you see right now is a pair of 26 Bravo 3 propellers. I upgraded about end of the summer just to see if I could get a little more speed and better cruising RPM. I'd be running like 3,000 RPM and only going about 20 miles an hour. So the goal was to bump that up. So I went from a 24 pitch to 26. That gave me about 26 miles an hour at 3,000 RPM. Now, I'd really like for that to be 1-to-1. So I'm gonna make one more step. And this is pretty common, like on the Formula 370 SS's or the Formula 400 SS's. They're all running Bravo 3 drives if they have 454 Mercruiser or 502 Magnum Mercruiser engines in them. All of them are running Bravo 3s with these 28 pitch propellers. So this is a 40-foot Sea Ray Sun Sport. I would call it more of like the predecessor to a Formula Sun Sport. I think, don't tell anyone, but Formula did it better. However, Sea Ray did it first. So I've got the second year into, you know, what is this kind of Sun Sport day cruiser entertainment boat. So anyway, let's give it a go. For next season, we're gonna have these 28 pitch props on the boat. I'm hoping that gives me about 1-to-1 RPM for speed. So 30 miles per hour, 3,000 RPM. That would be perfect for cruising. On top of that, we've got two stern drives that are tied together by an inner steering linkage bar. Currently, this motor is the one who runs the power steering pump and powers the power steering for both of these drives. Well, about midsummer, that stopped working. So I got to investigate why the power steering pump isn't working on this starboard motor. But to aid in these drives and their steering and stability while we're underway, you know, there's not a whole lot of play in either of the drives. They're actually pretty stiff together. But what you'll see in a lot of performance boats is they actually add a tie bar. And I've got one right here that I bought, found on eBay. It's used, it's cheap, but it's the perfect distance. And what it'll do is it'll mount over the two stern drives here using these saddle brackets. So these saddle brackets will mount right there. The tie bar will mount to the top of that, connect the two drives, and ideally add some stability while we're underway driving. Additionally, I'm not going to stop there. On this boat this past summer, we went on a lot of long cruising trips. I'm talking like 40 miles in one stint down the bay, and that is not unusual for this area. So these drives, when we're at idle or just floating, we are, you know, right about there as far as the water line goes. Or actually, you can see it. Water line's right about there. That means this is all submerged. These get to be cool and everything's fine. However, when we're underway cruising, this top half of the drive is out of the water because we're on plane, so the boat sits higher out of the water. A little bit of aerodynamics, fluid dynamics going on there. As the boat gets on plane, the boat rises up out of the water and it reduces the amount of drag, and because of that, our drives are out of the water. So from about here up, the drive gets pretty warm because it's no longer submerged in the water and getting cooled. So what I'm going to do, and what's a pretty common upgrade, is I'm going to add a couple drive shower systems. So there'll actually be a little fitting that goes right about here. Actually, this one looks like it used to have them. There'll be a couple tubes that run up to the top of this, and as water passes underneath the drive, it'll shoot up through the tube and then shower over the top of my drives that are out of the water. So ideally keeping them cool, and what it does, it helps them run better, increases their longevity or their life, and just ultimately reduces the wear and tear of the drives. So that's a couple things that we're doing to upgrade the Sea Ray. Mind you, it is middle of the winter right now. It's actually you know, just past the first part of the year. We're in 2023, so we've actually got pretty good weather, which is fantastic. Knock on wood, transom's made out of wood. I had no issues with the engines, but there are some interior things that I would like to do. We're going to do some normal maintenance, change drive oil, change impellers, change oil filters, change fuel filters. In addition, I bought an used air conditioning unit for the boat. So I've got this 12,000 BTU air conditioning unit, which is actually the factory air conditioning unit that came out of the boat. I ditched mine originally because it was trash. This is actually one from a slightly newer Sea Ray, but it's in great shape. Don't mind a little bit of, you know, calcium buildup on the bottom. That'll all shake out. This thing is actually in really good shape. Works. All I got to do is hook up my power, which is already ran in the boat, my water coolant lines to it, which is already in the boat. I'll show you guys that in a little while, but I'm really excited for this next summer to have some marine air conditioning back on the boat. It'll actually help with dehumidifying the boat when it's sitting in its slip, and then it'll make outings on the water when it's 100 degrees a lot more enjoyable when we're day boating. But that said, if I'm going to use that, I need to get my generator working. So another project, which I'm so close, it runs, it sucks water, but it's got a bunch of kill switch features on it. Like if it senses low oil pressure, low voltage, high temperatures in several locations, it'll just shut down. So right now it'll fire up and shut off immediately because one of those emergency switches is tripping something on the engine. So I got to do some diagnosing there. Yeah, for today, let's dive into it. Welcome back to the Sea Ray. I know it's been way too long getting into this boat. She is not nearly where I'd like her to be, but she is in the best shape she's ever been. This boat has sat on the water for, boy, let's see, from June till December when I pulled her out of the water. So, you know, about 6 months. This boat sat submerged in the water, had quite a bit of bottom growth on it. I had to power wash off all the barnacles, nasty growth, and I tell you what, this is all gonna get sanded down and it's gonna get a brand new fresh bottom. Probably use some paint that's more appropriate for the bay out here, because the paint that I used or left on it originally from our lake use of this boat, and when it started its life down at the Lake of the Ozarks, I don't think it's gonna cut it. And as you can see, a few leftover friends that hung along from its time that it spent in the water, a couple barnacles. So that's also going to happen. Probably not this video. Probably not going to film it. Not very interesting watching bottom paint dry, literally. So, all right, let me dive into it. We're going to start with the props, the tie bar, and then move into the boat and carry this heavy air conditioning into the center compartment where it's stored and get that installed. Tapered nut to center the prop and lock it in on the shaft. I think it's copper ring, so that's what seats and centers that prop on the shaft. So that can actually stay on for right now. Now we get our big Bravo 3 prop nut. Slide that guy on there, and I'm gonna get my breaker bar. Do the same thing. There you have it. There's the other one. Like I said, I'll clean this up a little bit. It's got some growth on it. This also has another copper ring down at the bottom to seat things, but look, you spin them, see how they go opposite rotation. Pretty cool. For torque on this nut, they say about 100 foot-pounds. All right, now I'll tighten that down, 60 foot-pounds. I also got my new exhaust boots in, so that's nice. Those seem to meet up just fine. Instead of the old rubber ones, which these always have a problem pulling apart, cracking, breaking, and ultimately the drive adhesive always pops off. So this is after a season, by the way. The goal today is to get the air conditioning unit first and foremost cleaned up, fix some vanes, and then bring this guy up into the cockpit, down into its hole, and get it mounted. This thing weighs like, I don't know, 80 pounds. It's pretty damn heavy. think this is the exact same unit that came out of the boat, believe it or not. Look, we're in air. Here's the unit size. Oh, this is 9,000. 115. See, 9,000. You guys see it in the back there? All right. There, 9,000 BTU. What we got here is 12,000. 12,000, 115 voltage, 60 hertz. Marine air. All right. So we got a slightly bigger unit here, which is sweet. And it's gonna go right in like the standard hookup spots. I got my water pump still. Hopefully that works. If not, I'll just get a new one. Hoses are all routed already. Got my communication wires already wired in. You see that? Heck yeah, man. Only trouble is gonna be ducting. I gotta get ducting, but anyway, let me pull this off the wall, disconnect that, and just use this since it's already hooked up. All I'll have to do is I'll have to wire in my new wiring, but I'm just gonna go tit for tat, wire that straight in. This is gonna be sweet if it actually works, which it should. Theoretically, this is all pretty simple, but I'm super excited. Let me move this bad girl in place. Also, real quick, I went through and straightened out all my cooling fins. You know, there was a couple dents in there. Spent some time, straightened them out. But if you guys have never been down here, this is what I like to call my utility room. I've got my vacuum flush toilet pump out. I've got my waste holding tank. A little bit of antifreeze left over in the bilge, just in case. My water tank. After I get this mounted in, water tank's coming out because it has a leak, and a new one is gonna go in. I also got my amplifier wiring. There used to be a water heater back there. That's not gonna go back in the boat, so actually I'm gonna cap off those electrical wires there. They're already capped off and squeezed. I left the routing there just in case I ever wanted to reuse it, but I don't think I'm going to, so I'm gonna cap that off and get rid of it. Yeah, that's about it. This is my forward bilge, by the way. So I got forward one, and then here two in the aft. Oh, sweet, man. Let's get this in. She's in. Well, mostly. I've got her secured down, sealed with their little clips. They go to my Ridge deck mounts here, down in the utility closet. I've got my old hoses, so there's my exit hose that goes out to the through hull. There's my inlet hose that goes around to my water pump back there, and then I'll have a hose that comes through here that'll go through a strainer, and then to my seacock for water supply for cooling all this off. But wiring's done. Got that cleaned up, got my ground mounted, and everything good to go here. I got my communication wire coming out of the box with some extra wire here. I'm gonna get a splitter so it can connect into the existing control panel in the boat, because that all should be fine. And that runs up forward and then to the panel in the cabin. But that's how I'm gonna leave it for now. I'm gonna get some ducting and splitters so I can duct off into that corner and then duct off into this corner. And then I gotta run some new ducting in the boat because I pulled all the ducting out before. So there's the air conditioning unit. That's a huge success to get that done today. Now, we're gonna pivot around and pull the water tank out. This will be fun. I'm gonna quit for today. Oh, hey, there you go. So, now that I've got the air conditioning unit in, oh, and by the way, doing sea decking all throughout the boat. So far, so good. Still no upholstery. That should be coming here soon. This has been the big old dehumidifier I've been running. New spark plugs for this year. I gotta get some fuel filters. This is the engine room heater that I'm running currently. 800 watt, but completely dry in here. I'm going to replace that port mid hull side window. I've got a new one right here. Very hard to find. This thing was manufactured in 2012 and bought from a Marine Max, believe it or not. Gotten rid of a lot of the stains up here by mildewing and Cloroxing and bleaching a lot of stuff. Same bed as before. I got some new wood tables that those are going to go in the boat and look really nice. More SeaDek material and rolls. But the cabin of the boat is actually looking really good. By the way, if you guys haven't seen our previous videos on this boat, go check them out. Pretty awesome, all the way back from when we picked it up down at the Lake of the Ozarks, and it was ready to be crushed, and all the way to where we're at now. I mean, you saw the videos of it running this summer. Thing is a champ, runs great. Meanwhile, I've got my work ahead of me when it comes to this dashboard. Gauges are fine, but I need to do something about all these switches. I told you my power steering is no good, so I gotta look into that. And then I'd like to get my shifters a little smoother. These are in sync, which is really great. I spent a lot of time on that this summer, getting these perfectly in sync, almost perfect. These could shift a little nicer. And then you see all this just falling because there's no upholstery panels. So once I get the upholstery, that should all clean up. But yeah, Quarter Life Crisis used to be called Brown Eyed Girls. Go check out those old videos. They've had a lot of love, and you guys seem to like the videos on this boat, so I'm gonna keep them coming as much as I can. Listen, you guys have seen all this before, but what I'm doing is, and I'll share this with you, yearly maintenance. I always change my water pump impellers on both engines. I always change my oil, my filters, drive, lube. I've never done belts before, so I'm doing belts. We got this one all done already. That impeller's in. I'm not going to start this for another 2 months or so. So I actually pre-lube the impellers before I put them in. Just a little heavy-duty grease is fine. It's going to blow out the back end anyway. But I actually, yeah, I pre-lube the impellers so they don't fry up if for some reason they're not sucking right away. It's a little messy. I need to clean the bilge, but just thought I'd tell you. I think each of these engines got about 500 hours on them now, maybe less than that actually. I put 50 hours on them this summer, but I may need to pull risers off, clean out the risers, just make sure they're not corroded and full of stuff. Anyway, that's what I'm doing down here. Oh, and I'm gonna do spark plugs. I do spark plugs every year. Not worth it having misfires or hard cranking or anything like that, so. I also went ahead and did a test on my batteries. So I hooked up my battery tester tool, which is right up there. They're on Amazon. Great, easy. You hook both the prongs up to each side of the battery, run a little check on it, just make sure things are okay. So right now my 2 banks, I don't have to replace. The generator battery over there, it said it was bad though, so I'm going to replace that one. But I'll get back into my little hole. I'm pretty fortunate. It's actually a pretty nice workspace down here, but it's 32 years old, so you know, you're gonna get some old boat stuff, but ultimately the fact that I have this space here is incredible to work on these big 454 Mercruiser MPI engines. Very modest. They only make about, I think, 315 horsepower. Nothing crazy, but you know, they'll run at 3,000 RPMs all day long. So I read on these throttle bodies that this gasket here, this one, has a little dam at the bottom, and I actually just cut it out. So this wasn't a full circle like my throttle here. There's actually a dam across the bottom of my finger here, kind of like that. So I went ahead and cut that dam out, and not that it's going to gain any horsepower, but you know, just reduce a little air restriction from the engine. This isn't going to hurt anything. Probably just change the throttle response a little bit. So, simple enough. I used some metal scissors for this. Alright, got it back on. Just 3 bolts, a couple plugs, and your throttle assembly. Let's see if I can get you guys a clear shot into. There we go. Very nice. If anyone was curious how these work, here's your idle air control. So that little plunger there will actually open and close to allow air to flow directly in there based on need for engine RPM. So look, there's passages there, but when that's up against here, it's blocked off. So that plunger will open and close and let air in and out and adjust the idle speed. There's also a little hole here to let air in while the engine's idling. Well, just so you guys know what I'm dealing with right now, I'm in the bow of the boat. Was gonna work on replacing one of these windows, but decided, oh, let's go check out the anchor. So the boat, as you guys know, or maybe you don't, has a windlass anchor. So I get a couple foot switches. Where am I pointing? Up there. Foot switches in the floor, and there's my big windlass anchor motor, which pulls in the chain and anchor and rode. It's awesome, but I decided I wanted to check out my anchor chain and discovered some bad deck rot, really bad. And where the chain comes in, would you imagine that? All the moisture. So I have completely removed my anchor chain and rode. It is sitting on the ground. I'm gonna vacuum all of this shit. Look at this. This is 32 years of shit. Vacuum all that out, clean it, and dig into all the junk that is moist in the deck. This guy needs an extreme overhaul. Needs to be completely sealed. This room sees a lot of moisture all the time. So I am not messing around. I don't want that to get any worse, or that. We got some cleaning up to do. But just thought I'd fill you in. Was gonna start a nice little window replacement project, but instead we're gonna deal with this.
last night. Maybe I can make it right. Sit down close to baby, we can talk about it. No need to be mad. Hate to see you sad. Yes, I know I'm crazy, crazy about you, crazy about you.
So currently, I am working on the bow of my boat. In the meantime, I prepped both stern drives with HRT Eco coating, new anodes. I'm going to do one more coat of Interprotect 2000E, plus 2001 I should say. So it's 2000E, 2-part 2001 Interprotect, 2 coats, and then 2 coats of Trinidad Pro Black. So both drives are prepped. I even prepped my tie bar with the HRT Eco. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm doing right now, using some West Systems epoxy resin and hardener with a little bit of silica to thicken the epoxy, but I'm going to put this metal plate, see if I can do this, up there like so, to protect my anchor, or I should say my bow, from the new big heavy anchor when it goes up. I'm going to seal a few cracks with West Systems epoxy in these areas, and then go ahead and pre-fit, test fit my stainless steel plate to the bow. There's all my chain, my new anchor. Big boy. There's the old empty anchor.
I'm upset sometimes. I know I get drunk some nights. I know I get way too high. I just wanna live it up with you. I know that it might be tense. I know when you've had enough. It's just how I show my love. Darling, can I live it up with you? I'm upset sometimes. I know I get drunk some nights. I know I get way too high. I just wanna live it up with you. Darling, can I live it up with you?
What do you think? I think it turned out pretty good. I'll let it sit and dry. That'll work nicely for the anchor. Well, now that I have this outer hull side window replaced, bedded and sealed, all not because this window was bad, but this stupid trim got all brittle and cracked and looked terrible. Look, that's what the rest of them look like. Chair, right chair, they're all fine. But, now because this broke, I had to buy a brand new in the package, manufactured in 2012, replica of this exact hull side window, which is incredibly unique, mind you. Had to replace the whole thing. Well, I did it anyway. Sealed it yesterday, and now I'm gonna have to pull this cabinet out in order to access these upper screws. There's no way to get a screwdriver in there. Phillips head. So this section has to come out. Check this out. We got a hidden speaker back here. I pulled this wall off. You Got literally a hidden speaker inside this cabinet. You would never know. What? Why does it never play? I never understood why there weren't speakers up front. Holy shit. There's one in there too. What? Why have they never played any sound? Oh my god. There they are. Okay. Well, that's a game changer. Got a little sidetracked. Apologies. I'll get back to it. That's pretty cool though. I'm excited about that. Listen, not that anyone is trying to get a cabinet out of a C-Ray 380 Sunsport anytime soon, but just so you're aware, screws I should say on the inside, a false wall that actually leads to nowhere, so I'm going to put that back, but a cool speaker that I found. Some on the back wall here that I already took out, but guess where the other ones are? Behind the microwave.
Made a mistake last night. Maybe I can make it right. Sit down closer, baby. We can talk about it. No need to be mad.
Here's some more old boat stuff. Those little panels, they're just pressed in there. Look at the wood. Looks fine. Looks like the day the dude wrote it back in 1991. And now that opens up my last screw. Undo that. And then I'll spend 20 minutes wrestling with this thing. I did it. Okay, so those are all the screws that I got out. But after 32 years of it sitting in this exact same spot, she was snug. But I got it. Oh God! Nobody move. Look, honestly, pretty clean. We got some cardboard, a little bit of cardboard tape. It's not doing anything anymore, but we'll probably leave it. Some wood, that's okay. This wire right here, that's what's holding me up right now. Good work, buddy. You keep that up. Look at that. Yeah. Nothing crazy. Light. Good job. Speaker I didn't know I have. Very nice. And now for you. Let's clean this up real quick and get this shelf back up. Just don't mind me. I'm just gonna take that back real quick. Sorry. Yep, okay. Alright, thanks, appreciate it. That freaking easy when the cabinet's out of the way. There's all the scraps. Now let's put the new one in. Got it in. That looks way better, and I hope, fingers crossed, I never have to take that down again. Okay, here we go. The bottom is completely painted. Brand new, all the way sanded down, then 2 coats of Inner Protect. Two coats Trinidad Pro Black. It turned out really good. So now I'm going to do the first fire up of the year on both engines. We're going to start with my starboard engine first. Make sure everything's working right. New impellers, new spark plugs, new oil, new filters, new drive oil, everything. So, what are you doing? Whatever. Anyway, fire this one up first. I got my flush fittings here, so I don't have to use the clappers for the drive, so I can do it directly into my flush fitting. So let's do the starboard engine first, and then we'll go to the port. Alright, here's the deal. I put brand new fuel filters in. Each engine has 2. So one right at the tank, one on the engine. When I replaced them, I did not refill them because they're also water separators. I didn't want any water getting into the new fuel filters. Thought they would just prime themselves with a few key cycles, but that's not the case. So I'm moving on to plan B. I'm gonna top the filters off with some fuel, maybe use some starter fluid. That should work better. There we go. Now I got all the filters. There's 5, so 2 per engine and then 1 for the generator. I got them all topped off. So now let's try that again. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Now to the other one.
Call me crazy, call me insane. The gesture
got her out on the water. Everything's looking good so far. I just gotta clear the cove here, get out of a no wake, and then we'll shut the blower off and get going. This is awesome. Huge shout out to my neighbor who helped me get it in the water. This was the super easiest it's gone in yet, but let's go for a little boat ride, get it over to its slip. I'll check back when we get there, but thank you guys for following along. Really appreciate the everyone being so involved with this project, all the love that this boat gets out on the water. It's awesome. I'm just doing it for fun and doing it to try and create an awesome, affordable boat for myself. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is Making Motor Moves. Like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing, but we'll see you out there on the water. Thanks.
Yeah.